You drink milk every single day. Cow milk, goat milk, oat milk, almond milk. You probably have a carton of it in your fridge right now. And none of this feels strange to you. But here is a question nobody asks. Pigs are everywhere. There are nearly 1 billion pigs on Earth right now. Farmers already raise them for meat. They already live on farms. They already eat farm food. And pigs are mammals, just like cows, which means pigs produce milk. Real, fatty, mammal milk. So why have you never once walked into a store and bought a carton of pig's milk? Why is there no pig cheese, no pig butter, no pig yogurt? Why does an animal that humans have farmed for 10,000 years produce a dairy product that you have never tasted once in your entire life? Most people assume the answer is obvious. They assume pigs are dirty, or that the milk tastes wrong, or that humans just never tried. But none of those are the real answer. The real answer goes much deeper than that. And when you hear it, it will completely change the way you think about the food on your plate. Stay till the end. The last part will change how you see every glass of milk you have ever poured. Here is what nobody tells you. Humans have been drinking animal milk for at least 10,000 years. That is a number so large it is hard to feel. 10,000 years ago, your ancestors figured out that if you keep a cow or a goat alive, it keeps producing food for you. That was one of the most powerful discoveries in human history. It changed everything. Suddenly, you did not have to kill an animal to eat. You could just keep it alive and harvest from it again and again. Milk became a living food source, and humanity built entire civilizations on top of it. But here's the part that gets strange. Of all the mammals humans have ever farmed, almost none of them became dairy animals. Cows, goats, sheep, camels, buffalo, yaks, reindeer in some places. That is basically the entire list, and pigs are not on it, not even close. Pigs have been domesticated for roughly 10,000 years, the same amount of time as cows. And yet, in all of recorded human history, on every continent where humans have raised pigs, nobody ever built a pig dairy industry. Why? To answer that, you need to understand what is actually happening inside a pig's body. And it is stranger than you think. When a cow is pregnant and then gives birth, her body starts producing milk. That much you know. But here is what most people do not know. A cow produces that milk continuously for months, sometimes close to a year. That is what makes a cow so useful as a dairy animal. You can milk her every day. The same cow. For a very long time. Farmers figured out long ago that by milking a cow regularly and keeping her in a cycle of pregnancy, they could keep the milk flowing almost year-round. That is the entire foundation of the dairy industry. Now imagine you are a farmer in ancient history. You have just decided to try the same thing with your pig. You wait for your sow to give birth. She does. She has piglets. Her body starts producing milk. You get ready to collect it. But here is what happens next. A sow produces milk for only 3 to 5 weeks. Not months. Weeks. After that, her milk dries up, and there is almost nothing you can do to stop it. But wait, it gets worse. Because even during those 3 to 5 weeks, the pig is not cooperating with you the way a cow does. A cow lets her milk collect in a large udder. You can sit down beside her and milk her at your convenience. That is the design. But a pig's body is built completely differently. A sow does not let her milk collect between feedings. She releases her milk in tiny, rapid pulses. We are talking about bursts that last around 15 to 20 seconds. That is it. The piglets have learned to be ready. The moment the sow starts her cycle, they latch on immediately. If they miss that window, the milk is gone. Think about that for a moment. You are a farmer trying to milk a pig. You have a window of 15 to 20 seconds. You cannot use a machine. You cannot collect from a large udder. You have to somehow be in exactly the right position at exactly the right moment to capture anything at all. And pigs have 14 teats. 14, which means in those 15 to 20 seconds, her milk is being divided across 14 separate channels simultaneously. The total amount of milk you might collect in an entire milking session from one pig Researchers have estimated it can be less than half a cup, sometimes far less. And you would have to do this every 45 to 60 minutes around the clock, because that is how often a nursing sow releases her milk. Not twice a day like a cow. Every 45 to 60 minutes. All day, all night. Let that sink in. You would get less than half a cup of milk every hour for 3 to 5 weeks. And then nothing. Contrast that with a modern dairy cow. A modern Holstein cow produces around 30 to 40 liters of milk per day. That is roughly 8 to 10 gallons every single day for 10 months. Before you even need to start the cycle again. One cow, 8 to 10 gallons a day, 10 months a year. One pig, maybe half a cup an hour, for a few weeks. The math is not close. The math is not even in the same world. And humans figured this out thousands of years ago. Not in a laboratory, not by running studies, just by trying. By waking up before dawn and sitting beside a pig and realizing this was not going to work. But here is what is fascinating. The milk itself is actually quite rich. Pig milk has a higher fat content than cow milk. Some estimates put pig milk fat content at around 8%. Cow milk averages around 3 to 4%. So on paper, pig's milk sounds better. It is creamier, it is richer, it has more calories per drop. If you could get enough of it, it might even make extraordinary cheese. Some food scientists have said so. And yet the world has no pig dairy industry, because the biology makes it nearly impossible to scale. Every human who ever tried figured out the same thing. The window is too short. The volume is too low. The frequency is too extreme. And here is another layer that most people never consider. Pigs are not built for this kind of relationship with humans. A cow is a relatively calm, large animal. You can build a routine around her. She stands relatively still. She is manageable. A pig is a different kind of creature. Pigs are intelligent. They are stressed easily. They are protective of their young. A nursing sow is one of the most aggressive animals on a farm. She does not want you near her piglets. She absolutely does not want you trying to extract milk from her body. And a pig that is stressed will stop producing milk. Just like that. The biology shuts it down. So not only do you have a 15-second window and less than half a cup of milk, but if the animal is stressed, scared, or uncomfortable, you may get nothing at all. Now imagine trying to build an industry around that. Imagine trying to build a supply chain. Imagine telling thousands of farmers across a country that they need to be awake every 45 minutes, day and night, managing highly aggressive nursing animals for maybe 2 teaspoons of milk per attempt. It is not a product. It is a punishment. And yet, humans are stubborn, and some of them have tried. In 2013, a restaurant in Serbia made a pig cheese. The owner, Slobodan Simic, spent years developing the process. He figured out methods to collect pig milk at scale. His pig cheese sold for roughly $1,000 per kilogram. That is not a typo. $1,000 per kilogram. And even at that price, production was barely viable. The effort required to make a single kilogram of pig cheese is so extreme that it remains one of the rarest foods in the world. Some food researchers have called it the most expensive and most labor-intensive dairy product ever commercially produced. And even then, most people never heard about it, because the world barely noticed, because the world already had something much easier, the cow. But here is where the story gets bigger, because this is not just about pigs. This is about how humans chose the world we live in. Every food on your plate was a decision. Thousands of years ago, humans looked at the animals around them. They looked at cows and goats and sheep and pigs and horses and elephants and bears, and they made choices. Some animals became food, some became dairy, some became work animals, and those choices locked in. Once a civilization built its food systems around cows, there was no going back. The barns were built, the land was shaped, the trade routes were drawn. Every generation after that inherited those choices, and you are one of those generations. You drink cow milk without thinking about it, because your great-great-great-great ancestors tried every animal available to them and decided the cow was the one that worked. They never tried pig's milk and thought it was disgusting. They tried it, and the biology made it impossible to use at scale. So the cow won, and pig's milk became a footnote, a strange fact buried in agricultural history. But here's the thing that quietly unsettles me. The pig was not the only animal that lost. There were others. Horses were domesticated by humans around 5,500 years ago. Horse milk is actually consumed in some parts of the world. Central Asian cultures have been drinking fermented horse milk called kumis for thousands of years. It is a whole tradition, a whole food culture, and most people alive today have never heard of it. Because in Europe and North America, horses became work animals, not dairy animals. The cultural path forked. And now when most people think of milk, they think only of cows, even though the planet is full of mammals, even though almost every mammal on Earth produces milk. The narrow window of what we eat and drink is not nature. It is history. It is the accumulation of thousands of tiny decisions made by people who are long dead, and you inherited all of it. Every meal you eat is a negotiation between your biology and a food system that was designed thousands of years ago by people who never imagined the world you live in. And most of us never question it. We walk into a grocery store and pick up a carton of cow milk without a single thought, without asking why that particular animal, without knowing that at some point, a long time ago, someone probably tried a pig and walked away exhausted, with maybe a few drops of milk and a bite on their hand. That is the real answer. It is not culture, it is not disgust, it is not religion, it is biology. A pig's body was simply never designed to be a milk machine, and no amount of human stubbornness could change that. So tonight, when you open your fridge, when you grab that carton of milk, when it feels completely ordinary, remember that it is not. That carton is the result of 10,000 years of trial and error, of farmers trying every animal they could find, of biology winning over ambition again and again. The pig was there the whole time, just not built for what we needed, and somewhere along the way the cow stepped forward, and the rest of your life was already decided.